Hey, what's up guys? It's your girl A.Simone back at it again with another video. So as you saw by the title of this, we are back at it again with another P-Valley review. We are on week 8, so let's go ahead and get into it. Okay guys, so this episode opens up with Mercedes trying to practice on the pole. So she's officially back from her little side gig. As you guys know, her shoulder had been hurting her, and then we found out that her shoulder had been hurting her ever since the night when they all took Montavious out. So Diamond, he works some voodoo and he lifts the weight or the pain out of her shoulder, but she still actually fell off the pole. So she still has the pain from falling, 15-20 feet off the pole. So she's in there practicing, and she's not, she's not doing good. She's not the OG, the HBIC that she used to be since this whole situation. And Uncle Clifford comes in there and catches her crying. He's like, that's one of the rules in the pink. We don't be, hoes don't be in here crying. So they pretty much have a conversation, and Sadie tells Uncle Clifford, well, you can't give up just like I can't give up as far as this whole situation with the club being bought out. Okay, so then we find out that Maine is actually out of jail. Mercedes is running in the neighborhood with her dog, and she sees Maine. So I saw a preview of this, and I was feeling some kind of way because I thought they had wrote him back into the script in like a corny way, but we actually find out that he got let out of jail because of COVID. So as you guys know, when COVID hit and they had, when it comes to jail, you're in close proximity with people. So in those type of situations, the COVID rates were like through the roof. So I guess, depending on what your charge was, if it wasn't a super serious charge or charge where you had, 5+ years, they let you out. So when I found out that they let Maine out on COVID, because of COVID, I was actually glad, because when I saw him in the last preview, I didn't know how they wrote him back in the script, knowing that, he got locked up for violating, I think, his probation. So it seems like they actually, wrote him back into the script in a non-corny way. So that's cool. So we found out that he's having a block party, and he wants Mercedes to show up as, like his girl, like this is my lady. So she lets him know, I'll get back to you on that. Okay, so next we have Keyshawn meeting up with Autumn in a diner. We actually found out this is the same diner that her and Derek first went on their first little date to. So we find out that Autumn is working on getting Keyshawn some passports. So it seems like she's trying to go out of the country and start a whole new life to get away from Derek. Now for me, this seemed kind of extreme to go out of the country. Yeah guys, so we find out that they meet up in this diner, and Keyshawn brings her birth certificate because Haley is going to give her some passports. So when you get passports, guys, this is when you go outside of the country. So for me, like I said, that seemed a little extreme, but you have to, that's just me looking at it from the outside in, or people who have not experienced domestic violence. Because for me, I'm thinking, okay, we're in Mississippi. She can just go to California, go to New York, just go somewhere far. But you have to think of when a woman up and leaves a guy that's, violent and domestic, he's not just going to let her walk away. So he's going to come after her, come find her. So even though, like, say, for people like me who's looking from the outside in, when you're in a domestic violence situation, it's like you're really trying to get away. So her going outside of the country, for me, it's like, okay, that seems extreme, but in order to really get away from a guy that you're leaving who is, mentally off, it's just like you really need to go to those extremes to make sure that you're safe and that he's not going to find you. So Keyshawn also says that she's looked up Haley's name just based off the information that she got on her. And we found out that Haley is the daughter, which we found that out a couple episodes ago. I don't know if the first season we knew that Haley was the daughter, but a couple episodes ago we found out that Haley is her daughter who drowned. And that's the name, that's one of the aliases that she goes after. Because like I said, we find out that Autumn, she has a past, and she's been running from this guy. She's been scamming. She has all this money. So she has a past where she has all these different identities that we don't know what her real name is. But we do find out a couple episodes ago that Haley is the daughter. That's one of the names she goes by, you know, Haley, as far as her identity. And then what else? I feel like they said something else. Maybe that's it. I can't remember. I feel like they said something else in the diner scene. I'll go back and look and see. Okay, so they end up running an ad against Andre. So you guys know when people are running for like mayor or running for like political office, they'll have like the people on the other team or the people within the city, whoever who don't want those people to win, they'll run dirty ads, which pretty much means they're digging up dirt and just trying to throw salt in the game to deter you from voting for the person. So they end up running an ad on Andre and find out that his father is locked up. I don't know if it's murder charges or if he's in there for life, but we actually find out later a little bit more about that, but I can't remember what the charges was. But yeah, I think the picture that Andre was trying to paint was that his father wasn't in his life, but we find out his father is locked up in jail. So that's the ad that they end up running. And then they end up doing an interview with Pastor Woodbine, Mrs. Patrice. And Mrs. Patrice pretty much says, you know, I was out there. You know, I was an old hoe. I done did my dirt. And she, in this interview, she pretty much, you know, listen, honey, I done did it all. Pimping, tricking, the whole nine. But I'm here today as a saved woman, and I'm here for the people. So Corbin looks at Andre and he's like, at least she's being honest. So when it comes to like, I know when I watch movies and shows, when it comes to somebody like running from like office or running for any kind of like situation as far as being in charge, that's a narrative that I've been hearing a lot lately in the past 5 to 10 years. Like, people want you to be honest, people want you to be relatable. So putting your dirt out there, that creates a connection, a human connection with them, that you don't look like just some robot who's just trying to get votes. So that's a narrative. If you guys have like watched TV or movies, or just in general, when it comes to somebody running, trying to be in charge of something, that's like a narrative within the past, like I said, several years, that you'll hear like people say, like, people want you to be relatable when you're running for a position of power. They don't want you to look like some uppity prick or somebody, you know, just trying to get votes or just trying to take over. So this, you know, I feel like this kind of has Andre thinking like, Miss Patrice, she's putting her business all out there. She's not scared of it. She's letting you know, listen, I used to be a hoe. I used to do all this stuff, but I'm a saved woman now, and I got your back. So I feel like this kind of got Andre to thinking like, yo, like, Patrice may be out here, you know, she might pull ahead of me in the votes, in the polls. Okay, so next we have Haley meeting with this rich white woman. Like I said, guys, I don't know what this woman's title or position is, but she's somebody within either the city or within the state that has a lot of money. An old white woman who got a lot of money, who's pulling some strings when it comes to, you know, the economic side of the city and the state being successful. So she's for this casino deal going through, and we meet her a couple episodes ago, and Haley is trying to go to her to get this money. So they're pretty much having a conversation, and guys, she walks into the salon where she's getting her hair done, and the woman doing her hair, she was like, honey, I think you got the wrong salon. This ain't Sinead's salon. So they are giving Haley all kinds of racist fever, her walking into the salon, even though Autumn, I'm calling her Haley, I always call her Autumn, even though Autumn is a light-skinned black woman. But it just comes to show you that, listen, just because you light-skinned, you still a Negro in their eyes. So yeah, so she's having a conversation with Autumn, and the white woman, the rich white woman, tells her and the other girl, the other salon worker, can y'all excuse us? Can y'all get out of, can y'all go to another area so we can talk private? And the hairstylist, she was taken aback. Like, she was really feeling, if you guys peeped that scene, she was really feeling some kind of way that she wanted to have a one-on-one conversation with Autumn, this black woman. So that little scene right there, guys, she was really feeling some kind of way towards Autumn, who is, this black woman. But yeah, they end up having a conversation, and the rich white woman pretty much is trying to call Autumn's bluff, because Autumn, remember, she said she got 5 million, but she's trying to get 10. So she pretty much is saying this might not even go through, meaning this whole casino deal might not even go through, because Pastor Woodbine, she might win the election. So as you guys know, Pastor Woodbine, she's not for this casino. Pastor Woodbine, she's, a pastor, and she's on this, she's a pastor. So the casino is one of like, it's like a sin, like gambling and doing that kind of stuff, drinking, gambling, cursing, those type of activities. Those are considered sins in the Bible. So Pastor Woodbine, she's not for the casino at all. So the white woman is pretty much calling Autumn's bluff, saying there's a chance that Patrice can win. If she wins, she's going to deny this casino being approved in the city. So the white woman's pretty much just trying to call Haley's bluff, and Haley ends up walking. I keep calling her Haley. Autumn ends up walking out. Because Autumn tells her, like, there's no chance, there's no way in hell that Patrice is gonna win. But the way it's looking, Patrice is keeping it raw and keeping it real. So she's really gonna connect with the people who are just working class or poor people in the city. So yeah, Autumn is not falling for the bluff, but the rich white woman saying, I'm not giving you more than 5 million. So you either gonna take it, or you gonna wait till the next go round if the casino doesn't get approved within this however many years of the mayor. So Autumn ends up walking out. It's like, I'll see you when I see you. So she doesn't fall for the bluff, and she walks out. So Autumn has been on her BS this season. Like I said, the people at the Pank don't like her just based on her past, and just based on how she got introduced to us, just being this stuck-up light-skinned girl. But it seems like Autumn is on her BS, on her boss, stuff this season, for real. Is trying to get this money. Okay, so next we have Wody and Little Murder at the funeral home. They're getting ready. He's preparing Big Teak's body for the funeral, and Wody ends up revealing to Little Murder what happened with Rome. And Little Murder's like, you ain't God, you ain't got the right to take somebody's life. And Wody's trying to explain to him, like, he tried to sexually assault Keyshawn, and he had the video on you. So that was also a point he was trying to bring up to Little Murder. Like, this guy was a creep and a weirdo all along, and he had video footage of you hooking up with another man. And Little Murder is telling him, I don't know how he got that. So Little Murder's trying to explain to Wody, like, I didn't actually record myself doing this. I don't know how he got that footage, which is true. Because I'm guessing he's thinking that, from Wody's perspective, I guess he's thinking that Little Murder, that he recorded it on some freaky stuff. But we know as the audience, he didn't do that. And like I said, the only thing, like I said in a couple of videos ago, is that Rome must have set up a hidden camera in his hotel room. That's the only thing. That's the only way he could have gotten that footage. Because, from season 1, we already know that people were already whispering and talking about Little Murder being not 100% into women. So from season 1, we already knew that people were in the streets were whispering and talking about that. So when it comes to Rome, he had his suspicions as well. So like I said, the only way he could have got footage of him hooking up with Big Teak was that he set up the camera in the hotel room. And mind you, Rome was the manager. So he's setting up hotels. He's booking and doing all of, the behind the scenes work. All they have to do is show up and do, perform and be the talent. So he could have easily booked these hotels, got to the room, obviously before everybody else, and set up a camera. He could have easily did that as being the manager in control of everything. So yeah, so they're talking, and Little Murder's pretty much saying, you ain't God, you ain't got no heaven and hell, put him on the end. But he's like, yo, like, this person was a bad person, and I did what I needed to do. And also I protected you from this video getting out. And Little Murder says, well, what if it's already out? Meaning, what if he sent it to somebody, one of his homies or whatever, and now that Rome is gone, somebody still has it to put it out there. And Wody pretty much says, well, I'll handle it. So Wody's pretty much let him know, like, if some BS pops off, I'm gonna get them up out of here. And it's crazy because Wody is such a low-key character, and it seems like that's not even his demeanor, even though he's a street guy. So it's like, you never know what to expect. They're all from the streets, Little Murder, and, you know, everybody that he knows, that's just their culture, you know, being born and raised in the street culture. But Wody is so low-key, and it seems like if anything pops off, he's ready to take a Negro out. So that's kind of crazy that Wody is so low-key, but he's down for whatever. Okay, so next we have everybody back at the Pink. So they're going to be reopening since this whole situation with COVID violations. So we see that Big Bone and Diamond are officially like a couple now. We saw the last couple episodes that they actually ended up hooking up and, you know, getting busy. And now they're officially a couple. Let me see. So yeah, so let me see. So Autumn asked Mercedes to perform her new routine for her, and Mercedes is like, whatever. Mercedes is not into it, but she looks at Uncle Clifford. Uncle Clifford's like, go ahead and perform. So Autumn asked Big Bone to put on something for Mercedes to freestyle to. And Big Bone refers to Autumn as boss. So she says, yes, boss, I got you. So when she calls Autumn boss, everybody turns up their nose. But for me, that was an interesting dynamic. Because you have to understand, Big Bone, she's new. She's one of the new people that got brought in along with Whisper and Roulette. So the tension that everybody else has towards Autumn, these new girls, they don't have that towards Autumn. Because it's like, you just brought me in here. You gave me an opportunity. So I really liked that dynamic of how they played that scene out. How Big Bone is really innocent and she calls Autumn boss because that's all she knows from Autumn. But everybody else, as far as Clifford and Mercedes, they know they have a whole history with Autumn coming in there as this bottom chick on the run, and how now she's baited to the boss role. So that was very interesting. I actually like the way they played that scene, how Big Bone and these new girls, they look at Autumn as a boss, as somebody that gave them an opportunity. They don't have the hatred that everybody else has towards Autumn. So anyway, they put on a song and Mercedes freestyles, and guys, Mercedes, she does horrible. Like I said, her shoulder is healed. Actually, Uncle Clifford tells her that it's not her shoulder, it's her mental. I mean, you have to mentally train yourself to get back, which is true. Like when you know, had a downfall in something where you kind of got knocked off, you know, your rocker, you have to mentally build yourself back up or you're not going to be in there. It's just like a, you know, a ball player being out on an injury. He has to mentally get himself back in the game. So yeah, so Mercedes freestyles for Autumn and she does horrible. And she's like, you're not going to be a headliner. And Mercedes like, I know you ain't ready to make Whisper or Roulette a headliner because they just got here. So next thing we know, guys, we see Keyshawn walk around the corner. Y'all, when Uncle Clifford sees Keyshawn walk around the corner, his reaction and facial expression had me dead to the bed. It was so funny. But yeah, when they met at the diner, when Autumn and Keyshawn met at the diner, she told her, I'm going to bring you back to the Pink so you can build up this money and leave Derek. So she's trying to get Keyshawn's bag together since Keyshawn's not on tour because of what happened with Rome. So she's trying to get this money to really, it seems like she's trying to help get Keyshawn up out of here. So a lot of people in the comment section feel like it's going to be some salt in the game when it comes to this meeting. They're thinking either Keyshawn's going to do something dirty to Autumn or Autumn's going to do something dirty to Keyshawn. But this is something that all of a sudden has happened. Autumn tried to help Keyshawn because we've never seen Autumn come to Keyshawn's aid until now. So we know that Autumn has a past, but this kind of seems out the blue because I feel like they never really hinted or insinuated Autumn trying to help Keyshawn. So in season 2, it seems kind of random and out the blue that she's trying to help her. Even though it's like, hey, I went through the same thing, but it does seem slightly random for her all of a sudden trying to go so hard to get Keyshawn out of the situation. just because they hadn't really hinted at it, I feel like, from season 1 to now. So people in the comment section feel like something's gonna happen. They feel like either Keyshawn's gonna dig up some real dirt and turn Autumn into the sheriff, or something's gonna happen. So I'm also really interested to see this dynamic, to see if this actually goes through, if Autumn fully helps off Keyshawn and nothing gets in the way, because people in the comment section feel like it's gonna be some salt in the game. It's not just gonna be a smooth transition of her trying to help Keyshawn. So yeah, so Keyshawn walks around the corner, and this is Keyshawn's introduction back to the club. So they go backstage into the locker rooms, and you can hear Uncle Clifford arguing. And Keyshawn asks the new girls, like, do they argue all the time? And it's like, yep. So we find out that the new girls love Keyshawn. They've been watching her on her live. They've been supporting her brands. They're actually wearing her lashes as we speak. So Whisper actually offers Keyshawn some of that white girl, and Keyshawn's like, heck no. So for me, that was an interesting scene too, guys. The fact that she just pulled out that white girl and offered it to Keyshawn. But for me, that was like a real scene. It just shows you, you know, what goes on behind the scenes of strip clubs. Like, these girls are doing, you know, whatever. So the fact that she just casually offered, and Keyshawn was like, no thank you, that was a real, like, interesting yet real depiction of what goes on behind the scenes. So yeah, let me see. Okay, so like I said, so Keyshawn, she gets back, she has her old locker, she has her old space, and she's getting back into the groove of being back at the Pink. So we hear Uncle Clifford and Autumn going at it. So it seems like Uncle Clifford packs up his stuff in the office and he just walks out the club, because it seems like this was the breaking point for him. Now mind you, Keyshawn has not been back at the club since that situation happened. So everybody is mad and pissed off at Keyshawn. Like I said, the new girls, they don't know, but all of the old people do. So if you guys remember from last season, when they end up getting into it, Derek and Diamond, she pulled out a gun. So it isn't like they just got the argument and she broke it up. Like, oh my God, guys, stop. She pulled out a gun. So that makes it way different. That takes it 0 to 100. You pulling out a gun on people who've had your back, and you know, this is your escape. When you're at the house with Derek, he's arguing, he's acting crazy, you're going through it with Derek. So when you come to the club, this is your only escape from a crazy life. So like I said, the situation that happened when she put out the gun, that's not something that they took lightly, and they have not forgiven Keyshawn from this. They have not forgiven her. They have not had a conversation, tried to hear her side. The only conversation that they had is when Diamond was working at the grocery store at, I think it was, well, whatever, when he was working at the store and they were outside in the parking lot talking, and he pretty much told her to get up out of here, because he said that Derek called him the N-word, which he did, and she didn't want to believe it. So the only conversation that they did have between Keyshawn and everybody else was that conversation where she pretty much shut down Diamond, calling him a liar. So yeah, so they haven't seen Keyshawn and had a conversation with her, and here comes Autumn bringing her back up in there. And like I said, it's not something that they took lightly, because she pulled out a gun. So yeah, so it seems like this is the breaking point for Uncle Clifford. So he has like a box and has his things in there, and he walks out, he storms out, he goes to his car, he's sitting in there, he's crying. He looks up in the rearview mirror and he hears a voice, and it's his mom. So his mom is talking through him, through her spirit, and she pretty much says, you know, don't be sitting here crying, you got to get revenge. So yeah, so his mama comes to him in like a premonition, well, not a premonition, but she comes to him in spirit and says, don't be sitting here crying, boy, you get revenge. Okay, so the next thing we have Big Teak's official funeral service. So like I said, Big Teak was a street guy, so you got all these gangster guys in there. They got on their jewelry, they got on they, you know, they flags, not they flags, what is it called? They bandanas. So for me, this was a real cool scene, because it's like Big Teak was a street guy, and they took him out in a street style, meaning I was a street guy my whole entire life. If you have a funeral service for me, keep it real. So I actually liked how they kept it real with all the street dudes. They in there with their Air Forces and they wife beaters, even though this is a funeral service. But this is what Big Teak was. This is how his life was. So don't switch up on me now that I'm gone in my funeral service. So the guys, they go and they lay their chains across his chest to be buried with. I guess that's like something that I guess street guys do when you pass. They, to show their respects, they take off their chain and they laid it in his casket. And then we have Little Murder coming up to the casket. Now Little Murder has on his, you know, his suit. He keeps it, you know, he keeps it not professional. I don't know the word I'm looking for, but he keeps it classy. So he has on his black suit, and we see him put something in Teak's hands as he's laying in the casket, and he says that he wrote a rhyme for him, you know, just in case he gets lonely in that hole. And Little Murder is crying. And guys, I'm not familiar with any of the actors or actresses on the show outside of Loretta Devine, who is an OG, you know, actress in the game. But outside of Loretta, Little Murder, Jay Alfonso, he's probably the next best actor on the show. Like I said, I did not know any of these actors or actresses outside of the show. And I will say that, you know, it's given very amateur. And I say that with love and respect. But the acting is not giving you top-notch Oscar award-winning acting. And like I said, I love the show, but that's just the truth. The acting is not all the way there when it comes to the skill level. So for me, Jay Alfonso, his acting is fantastic to me. Outside Loretta Devine, he is the next best actor on this show. I think he's so great. So in the scene, we see him breaking down, crying, and it was just a well-acted scene from him. Like I said, I feel like he always does great. But with this scene, it's him showing emotion of, you know, having to bury his homie. So yeah, I thought, you know, that scene was spot on and greatly acted. So they're putting Big Teak's body in the hearse, and we have, you know, everybody standing outside of the funeral, and they show a video of Pico. So Pico is Little Murder's old friend that now they're beefing. So remember last season they got the fighting because he called him out for being on the DL. So now they're officially, from last season to now, we find out that they're officially rivaling in the streets, meaning it's this gang versus this gang. So the guys show him a video outside, and Pico is on the video saying, yeah, we took Big Teak out of here. So guys, Pico is on this video lying, saying that they caught a body because of Big Teak. Now, from the last episode I told you guys with Miss Ernestine and Uncle Clifford, it seems like he never told them what actually happened with Big Teak. So with this episode, it kind of confirms that Little Murder has not let anybody know, as far as his street crew, know that Big Teak actually committed suicide. He hasn't told anybody. Now you guys have to understand, there's a stigma in the black community when it comes to therapy, you know, because back in the day it would be called a psychiatrist. So from like the 80s, 90s to now, it's called therapy. But I feel like back in the day, therapy wasn't the word that they used. It was you going to see a psychiatrist or seeing a shrink. And when it comes to that, it was a stigma of, okay, you crazy, you need medicine, you got something going on with you. So when it comes to the black community, that whole stigma has always been a thing. It's like, oh, are you crazy? Do you need medication? And with black people, it's like, oh, we don't go and tell our business. We don't go sit down and tell a doctor, especially a white doctor, our business. So it seems like this episode confirms that Little Murder has not told anybody that Big Teak actually committed suicide. He's just kind of letting everybody speculate as to what happened. And I feel like he's doing that. He's doing that because of stigma. He's doing that because I feel like he believes people is not going to actually believe this street gangster guy took his life. And I actually think if he tells them that, he's going to actually think that he took him out. And meaning the black community is not going to believe this guy committed suicide. And they're going to look at Little Murder sideways like, did you take your homie out? Because we know this guy did not kill himself, because that's not what black people do. So yeah, so this episode kind of confirms that he has not told anybody that it was suicide, just based on the stigma in the black community. So yeah, we found out that Pico is out here lying about catching a body with Big Teak, but Lil Murder still has not told everybody what actually happened. Okay, so like I said, we have Keyshawn back at the Pink. So now her and Mercedes are practicing this routine. So they go out there and they're practicing. And like I said, again, Mercedes, she's horrible. She has not gotten back into her groove since she's been doing her little side gig. So now she's back. And Mercedes, she's horrible. Like, yeah. So while they're sitting there watching the routine, Roulette tells Whisper that the boy that she hooked up with in the club wants to see her. So Whisper is very skeptical. She's like, I don't know about this. So yeah. So Mercedes gets a phone call and it's Shell. So Shell finds out about them going to the clinic. And guys, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I didn't think that they were actually gonna introduce or let us know that Shell find out this quickly. So this just happened last episode, and now this episode, Shell finds out. So I'm gonna keep it real. I didn't think that they were gonna, I didn't think that they were gonna do that so quick to where Shell finds out. So they're pretty much having a conversation, and Shell tells Mercedes, you just can't show up in 1 week and think it makes up for 14 years. And what Shell was saying was true. So they end up leaving, and Terica leaves with Shell. And that was a very interesting moment, because it's like, yeah, she's an alcoholic and she's acting crazy, but she raised this girl for 14 years. So 14 years is not going to be thrown away in 1 week. And Mercedes was trying to tell her, well, she told me she was pregnant. She didn't tell you, so what does that mean? But Terica ends up leaving with Shell, and we're gonna within the next couple episodes, we're gonna see what's happening, because she was staying with Mercedes, and then now she's going back with Shell. So we're gonna see what's up and coming with that whole relationship. Okay, so we find out that Whisper goes through with linking up with the dude from the club. So guys, I'm gonna keep it real. When I first saw this scene, I thought that he said he wanted to link up with Whisper, but I thought they were gonna do it at the club. But remember, Roulette got called out from doing stuff at the club. So remember, one of the guy's homies was asking about the girl with the DSLs. So Roulette already got called out for doing stuff in the Pink. So when I first saw this scene, I thought that he was going to hook up with Whisper at the club, but they don't want to get in trouble. So they end up going to a hotel. She ends up hooking up with this guy inside of a hotel. So the guy said he wanted to, go down and do his thing on Whisper. So he goes out, he does his thing. He tries to come into the hotel room. He tries to make Whisper get out, but she's like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not leaving this girl in here with you by myself. So they end up doing their thing, and they finish. So Roulette comes out the bathroom, and well, first they're yelling and they're screaming, and Roulette runs out the bathroom. And she's like, what's going on? Whisper tells Roulette that he's trying to short her on the money. And mind you, he paid her to go down on her. So this guy's really on some freaky deaky stuff. But he tries to short her $200. Now guys, as soon as they get to the scene with them in this hotel room, I already knew it was going to be some BS. Everything about the energy, it just told you this guy was going to walk into this hotel room with some BS. So yeah, so he's trying to short her the money. And Roulette is like, yo, what's up with you? So Whisper says, I was faking it the whole time anyway. You were going down on me. This guy ends up choking, putting his hands around Whisper and choking her like down to the ground. So guys, within the next split second, we find out why Roulette's name is Roulette. Guys, Roulette pulls out a pistol, puts it to the guy's head and says, you got however many rounds that's in this gun before this gun goes off and shoots you. So she has one bullet in the clip, and that's she has one bullet in the clip, and that's how you play the game roulette. So I don't know where the game roulette started from, if people just started it for fun, but it's pretty much when you put when you put one bullet in the barrel, you just click the bullet, click it until it gets to the bullet. So if it's 9 rounds, you got 8 rounds of clicking until it gets to the bullet. So that's the game of Russian roulette. So now we find out why they call her roulette. So guys, this scene put a whole nother respect, gave me a whole nother level of respect for roulette. So first we get to this hotel room, and she says she's not leaving. She said she's not leaving Whisper alone with you in this hotel room. So that's the first thing. And then he tries to short her the money, and Roulette pulls out a pistol and she puts it to her head, clicks the gun, and then she puts it to his head. So when you see her put the gun to her head and click it, you know she's not playing. The fact that she took the risk to click it on her own head. She puts the gun to his head, makes him get down on his knees, and makes him suck the gun. They rip off all his clothes, and then they run off on the plug. Ran out the hotel room, and they speed off in the car. Okay, so let me see. Okay, so next we have Pico. He's walking back from the store. He just got him a couple things from the store. He's speaking to his people outside the store. And the next thing you know, he's cutting through like a field, I guess, to get home. So he's cutting through all this grass, this big field, and he gets a phone call. He gets a phone call from his son. I think his son is saying something about, "Daddy, when are you coming home?" And I think he's saying, "I'm on the way. You need to be in bed. You know, it's your bedtime." So he's just standing in this field talking on the phone. And this thing, you know, we see a shadow come from out, like from the side of like the dumpster or something. And it's Little Murder. So when Pico sees him, he seems like he just seen a ghost. So Little Murder, he's smoking a cigarette or smoking a blunt. He throws the blunt down, and then we see him pull out. Guys, Little Murder pulls out a freaking machine gun. I don't know what kind of gun this is, guys, but it's the type of gun you gotta hold with 2 hands. I don't know nothing about guns, but it's an army gun, a machine gun. So when Pico sees his gun, he's like, "Oh my God, man, like, what's up? It ain't gotta be like this." So guys, Pico starts pleading for his life. This is an interesting scene to me because he claimed to be so gangster, but he's like, "Yo, I got kids. I got a baby on the way. You know my mama need me." He starts pleading and running down all this stuff, guys. But it's like, you were a gangster 5 minutes ago, or you were a gangster when you recorded that video. You said your mama needs you. You said you got kids, but you out here. It seems like you're out here faking being a gangster. You faking because you lied about a body. You lied about Big Teak when we, as the audience, know that Big Teak committed suicide. Yeah, guys. So when it comes to being a gangster, will you ever watch any like gangster or like mobster movies? Like, these guys are like really about their life, meaning, when they got a gun pointed at them, they're keeping it gangster to the end. So this was a real like funny scene to me, that you got Pico, he's pleading for his life, like, "Oh, you know my mama needs you. Okay, you know your mama needs you, so why are you out here being a fake gangster? If you're out here faking anything, if you're out here faking a lifestyle, that's never going to end well. That's never going to end well when you're faking being who you are. So if you're out here being a fake street gangster, that's definitely not going to end well." So guys, next thing we know, Little Murder lifts up the gun and he says, "Oh, I'll tell your kids you said goodbye." Guys, when I tell you Little Murder lights Pico's tail up, now mind you, he's holding it like a machine gun. So guys, with a machine gun, whenever you seen, like, you seen Denzel Washington and you seen Queen Latifah, remember in those movies when they got lit up? Denzel, he got lit up, I think, by street guys, and then Queen Latifah, she got lit up by the police. But with those type of guns, when you see movies with those type of guns, the people are like 15, 20 feet away. When he did this to Pico, he's like 6 or 7 feet away. So with those type of guns, they have so much power that you can be that far away and it's still gonna light you up. So the fact that he had an army gun, and he was that close, like that, you know, that was just a pushing point. That was just the breaking point for him. Like I said, they were already beefing from last season. We saw the beef this season. Remember when he was on tour, he ended up arguing and he got the fighting. So him lying on Big Teak's body, that was just a pushing point for Little Murder, of him saying, I gotta get this guy up out of here. This beef, this street war is going on too far. And that was just the straw that, you know, brought the camel's back, of him lying on Big T's body. So yeah, he took him up out of here, you know, Big Willie style. Like, he had that machine gun and he was right up close to him and he lit his tail up. So yeah, okay. So next we have Mercedes. She pulls up to the black party for Maine. So Maine threw this black party for him getting out of jail. Mercedes comes through. They get to like argument at the black party, his peoples. And Mercedes tells Maine to come inside the house. Like, you just got out of jail. Don't be intervening yourself. If they go fight, let them Negroes fight. Come inside. And Mercedes ends up revealing to Maine what happened with Montavious. So she says, you know, this stuff is haunting me. Like, how did you get over it? Will the dreams ever go away? And as far as we know, she hasn't revealed anything to anybody outside of the people who were in the room that night. So she ends up confiding in Maine, and he tries to kiss up on her, and she was like, you know what, that's not what I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a cutty buddy. I'm over that. And Maine respects it. He pulls back and he says, I hope you find what you're looking for. So it seems like, as far as an intimate relationship, that Maine's gonna be out the picture for that. But when it comes to maybe Mercedes needing his help or something, it seems like he's still gonna have her back. It's just not gonna be in an intimate way. Okay, so next we have Uncle Clifford. He's drinking and he ends up visiting his mother's grave. So like I told you earlier in the episode, his mom comes to him, you know, in her spirit and says, that, hold up, I'm missing the part, hold on. Okay, yeah. So Uncle Clifford goes to his mom's grave. I missed a part out of this episode. So Uncle Clifford, after he sees the spirit of his mom, he goes and links up with Corbin. So he links up with Corbin because he's trying to get Patrice to drop out of the race. Now, mind you, Patrice doesn't want the casino. So Patrice winning would actually be in the favor of saving the pink, but they hate Miss Patrice so much just based on her being a crook and being this false prophet and how she's treated Mercedes. So they hate Miss Patrice, even though her winning would actually be in the best interest because she doesn't want the casino to come. So Uncle Clifford links up with Corbin and tells him we need to get Patrice out of the race. So now, okay, now we have Uncle Clifford visiting his mama's grave, and he's crying and he's breaking down because he says, Mama, I'm a failure. So now we know Miss Ernestine, she's sick and she may be on her way out, and we have Clifford losing the club. So that's what he's saying to his mama, like, I'm a failure. Because it's just everything on top of everything, meaning his grandma, she's on her way out, so he's dealing with that. And he's dealing with, he doesn't even have control over the club, which is a family business because of Autumn. So he's really just breaking down and talking to his mama on his grave and saying, you know, Mama, I feel like I'm failing you. In life, I feel like I'm failing you. So next thing we have Miss Patrice. She's doing a live stream of service. I don't think it's a Sunday. It didn't seem like it seemed like it may have been like Wednesday night service or something, whatever. But she's streaming live because she can't have people in the church. So next thing we know, her assistant or whoever says that she has a visitor. So she walks outside down the alley and we see that it's Corbin. So Corbin hands her a stack of money, says, I'm gonna need you to drop out this race, and it's more money where they came from. So he gave her a stack. I'm not sure how much it was, $5,000, $10,000. But yeah, he gave her a manila envelope and says, you got to drop out this race, homegirl, and here's your incentive, which is money. So like I said, when Uncle Clifford met up with Corbin, he said, we got to get Patrice up out of here. And yeah, she's a holy roller, but what speaks to her more than the Bible is those dollar bills. So we're gonna see what happens in the next episode if Patrice takes the bait, or if she's just hard headed and she says, "I don't care what you say, I'm gonna turn the city around and I'm gonna be the mayor." So that's really interesting to see. Now I feel like as an audience, we want her to drop out because we hate Patrice just based on how evil of a person we know that she really is, even though she's perpetrating as a pastor. So we're gonna see in these next couple episodes what Miss Patrice does, if she actually drops out or if she doesn't. For me, I have a feeling for the show that she's not gonna drop out, just for the sake of it being drama on the show. But I feel like as the audience, we would love for her to drop out because we're over it. We don't like Miss Patrice. But even if she does drop out, I feel like they're gonna still have her doing some kind of evil in some way, shape, or form. So even if she does drop out, that's not gonna be the end all be all for Miss Patrice, because she's just too evil. She's too evil of a character. Okay, yeah. So Miss Patrice gets a visit. She gets the money. So we got to see in the upcoming episodes what she's gonna do. So next thing, we have Roulette pulling up to the auto body shop, and she tells Duffy, "I need you to bust this car down." So we find out when they run out of the hotel room with the guy, they run off with his car. So remember, she tells him to strip down naked. So he's naked. They take all his clothes, they take his wallet, they take his keys, and then they speed off in this car. But we find out that's his old school car. So Duffy runs this auto body shop. And as you guys know, Duffy, he's out here pushing pills. He's out here doing all kinds of stuff. So typically when people are doing illegal activity, they're doing a lot of illegal activity. So we find out that Duffy, I don't know if he owns this auto body shop or he's just cool or it's just his people. But this auto body shop, she wants him to do a bust down. Roulette wants him to do a bust down. And that pretty much means, I stole this car, so I need you to strip it. I need you to repaint it. I need you to, I guess, change the tag so when I ride with this car in the street, nobody knows this was the actual car I stole. So, yeah, so they end up kissing. So like I said, Roulette and Duffy are into each other. They haven't officially became a couple or anything, but they've been vibing off each other since they got introduced to each other. So Duffy pulls out some paperwork from the glove department, and he's like, "Oh yeah, this is such and such." And she was like, "Oh, he ain't gonna be worried about this car." So for me, the fact that he pulled out the paperwork and called out the guy's name, that was very, I feel like they wrote that in there to just show that Duffy is a true white boy. Because it's like, why would you pull out paperwork out of a stolen car? Like, why would you call out the guy's name? So that was a little corny to me, but I feel like they wrote that in there just as like a play off of Duffy. Even though he's in this world, he's still a white boy at heart. Because why would you call out the guy's name? So yeah, so Roulette tells Duffy, "Oh, he's not gonna be worried about this car. I done already handled that." And then the last scene of this, no, I'm lying. So then Roulette walks out and she opens up the pistol, and we actually see that Roulette really had one bullet in the pistol. So we see that Roulette is really about this life. Because like I said, in the hotel room, as the audience, I feel like I knew, but as the audience, you didn't know if she was playing or if she was for real. Because from our perspective, the gun could have been empty when she was pulling those triggers. But we find out when she walks out the auto body shop, she really had one bullet in the holster, or one bullet in the chamber. So Roulette is really about this life. And like I said, the whole hotel scene, it really made me put some respect on her name, because she really had Whisper's back. She really wasn't going to let this man disrespect or hurt Whisper. Okay guys, in the last scene of this episode, we have Little Murder in the booth. So it seems like him taking out Pico, that was the battery in his back to get back on his BS. And because him and Wody, they had when they were having that conversation, Wody said, "Somebody got to make it about the hood, man. We can't continue to live like this." So it seems like after he took out Pico, that put the battery in his back to get back in the studio and to make this rap thing happen. And yeah, that was the last scene in this episode. But yeah guys, that is my breakdown, my review of this episode. Tell me what you think. Like this video, go ahead and subscribe. That really helps my channel out. Leave any comments, questions, concerns down below. Something I may have got wrong, something you may disagree with.